Fleeing Melbourne for North Queensland. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.Heise here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee and let's have a look at this article sent to me by a viewer from the Cairns Post discussing Melburnians fleeing for Northern Queensland. Now remember, we looked at a previous video, one I've just recorded, about desperate homeowners in Victoria unable to sell. Unable to sell because they can't get private inspections, but now apparently they're flooding the north. It's interesting, these mixed messages we get from the media. Now before we jump through this article, let's just jump over here to show people on Google Earth the scale of what we're talking about, this distance, this travel. So we have here's Victoria, and there's good old Melbourne, right there. And we zoom out, Port Phillip Bay, great harbour. We zoom out here, and you've got, Canberra, Sydney, Brisbane, and then the further north we get, I've got to zoom in. You've got the Sunshine Coast up there, sunny coast up there. You've got Fraser Island there, and Hervey Bay, Maryborough. Maryborough is a lovely little country place. Fraser, one of the biggest sand islands. Good old Bundy, Bundaberg, and we keep going up north. We've got Gladstone here. You got Rocky. Rocky's like a 45-minute flight from Brisbane. It's nothing. I remember when I flew there years ago, I had to hitchhike from the airport because there's no taxis. And then I just went there recently, and oh boy, it's just gone crazy. Really good steak in Rocky. We keep going north. We're getting there. Got Mackay then. Mackay with all the beautiful islands. And keep going north. Proserpine. There in Airlie Beach. So it's getting bloody hot now. Bowen, we'll get there. Oh, how far? They're going to Cairns. Oh, Townsville has to be close. Townsville's an interesting one because you got the military base there, and you've got, where is it? Townsville, and you've got the whole promenade there. It's beautiful, actually. It's beautiful. We went over to Picnic Island. You got Bushland Beach, and let's zoom out a bit more just to keep going. Forest Beach, Tully, Innisfail, and then Cairns. This is where they're looking at going. Now they're all going to suffer heat stroke because I grew up in Victoria, guys. We're those Victorians that moved up. We stayed at Noosa and then went down the Gold Coast. But here you go. This is where they're looking at moving from here up to here. So little bit of a temperature change. Guys. So, I don't blame them, actually. If you want to make a change, you're making a change. Weather's going to be very different. Climate's going to be very different. So, what do you think? I know we've got a few viewers in Cairns, guys. What we'll do is let's visit Cairns digitally. Can we do that? We'll just jump in here and have a look at the town to get a bit of a feel of how it's going. So you can see here, it's a nice little country. Oh, not country, I'd say regional capital, which still has that country feel, but they're pretty developed now. You can see here. So let's jump back and have a look at this. These Melburnians are moving to Cairns. If you get high-speed internet, I could do it. I could probably work from Cairns and just fly down for some of the projects I need to. I deal with a certifier who's moved to Melbourne as well. He can still come up here and do his job. So there are other options, and housing, I'd imagine, would be a little bit more competitive up there than in Melbourne. So a leading real estate researcher is predicting as many as 30,000 people will flee Melbourne over the next 2 years due to the extended lockdown. But a far north agent says they're already here. Now, I'd agree with the leading real estate researcher just by the anecdotal evidence I'm seeing in the comments and just the shock that people have with the limitation on your restrictions. I think people are going to flood out of Victoria. I think you're going to get all the liberty-minded people that'll flood out of Victoria, and then it'll probably turn it even more into a version of California that Australia has. It depends. If you get 30,000 people leaving from some marginal seats, it could flip. Or even drive it more into the left. Propertyology researcher Simone Presley said the max exodus would mark one of the biggest ever swings in internal migration in an Australian city. Whether they relocate to a Victorian regional location such as Bendigo, Wodonga, the Great Ocean Road region, or completely leave the state, thousands of Melburnians will take action to regain their freedom, he said. Oh, Simon, not Simone. Sorry, mate. Sorry. I've only had a few coffees. People are also starting to understand the pandemic is going to be with us for years, and where there's greater density, there's greater risk. We know there are people who've already left Melbourne. Cairns Marsh property principal Chris Marsh said some of those residents who had left Melbourne were already in the far north. We've spoken to Victorians that have managed to come up here just after the borders closed with the intention of holidaying and buying a property, Mr. Marsh said. They've gone into hotel isolation, paid a better part of $1,000 for a one-way flight. And they've said, to hell with Melbourne, we're not going back. I've already rung the removalists to pack up my house. We're buying something up here. We're living up here. I mean, I can't say I'm surprised. Can you see people doing that? Can you see people just going, to hell with it, I'm out? Mr. Marsh said he had about 12 very serious Victorian buyers, with 2 sales to Melburnians already since July, and his agency had reported a 40% increase in interest from southern investors since September last year. The Victorians do tend to be interested in the more holiday suburbs, Palm Cove and Trinity, he said. Most of those comments have been on Palm Cove apartments. There are apartments that have been holiday let, but they can be resided in as well, and we've seen most people that are semi-retired. Mr. Marsh said the far north was becoming a desirable location for more than just Victorians after he recently sold 3 houses sight unseen to a New South Wales couple. They're a couple from Sydney, and they don't plan on moving up for a couple of years, but the far north is in demand, and they're just forward planning. Forward planning. Buying 3 houses is forward planning, everyone. I must be living life wrong if buying 3 houses is just forward planning for some people. So what do you think, everyone? What do you think? Do you think Cairns is an option? Are we going to see an exodus on there? I mean, it's just anecdotal evidence at the moment. I mean, anything that will help these regional cities, rather remote cities, to help spur at least some economic activity, get more people there, more businesses, more opportunities, I think is a good thing. Maybe that's the strategy the far northern Queenslanders need to take, advertise, get away from Andrews, come to North Queensland. Migrate now. Houses cheap, sunshine, happiness, freedom. What do you reckon? What do you think? I mean, good on them if they pull it off. A little bit hot for me. I wouldn't mind. You get used to anything. But last time I was at Airlie, it was hot. I like the, I could probably handle a bit further north than Brizzy. Wouldn't mind the sunny coast. Even Harvey Bay isn't too bad. But, I don't know. Too hot, I reckon. I probably prefer Toowoomba, to be honest, nice and cold. Well, as always, guys, let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. Do you think it's an opportunity? Do you think we're going to see more people actually coming up? Will we see 30,000 people leave Melbourne? Are you a Melburnian or a Victorian? Have you had enough? Has this been the final straw? Are you getting out? Would you head to the regions, or would you look at another state? I know with the restrictions in Melbourne, I would honestly think that the same thing could happen here in Queensland. The same thing could happen in pretty much any state. Except, well, definitely a left-leaning state. Remember, we've got an election here, guys. We've got an election coming up soon. We need to do some videos looking at it. But I suspect that's affected our response. We'll have to see. So, there we have it. A massive Victorians once again coming up. I mean, I'm a Victorian. I grew up down there, and we moved up to the Sunshine Coast. We had an apartment. Well, not apartment, a townhouse. We stayed up at Noosa, and then we looked at Brisbane, and my parents ended up settling on the Gold Coast, which is nice. I think about it, probably maybe. No, I prefer the Gold Coast is nicer than Brisbane in many ways. Brisbane's a bit hot and inland. The Gold Coast is a bit more relaxed, but Brisbane is better for business. for business. But then again, now you work remotely. You could go anywhere, guys. So let me know your thoughts and opinions. Do you think it's going to happen? Are you one of the Melburnians who's planning to get out? Would you come here on a holiday and just get someone else to pack up and take your stuff? As always, thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you're a fan and want to support the content I create here, there are a few ways you can. You can join the channel on YouTube or Patreon. You can support us using our affiliate links at Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve, or Kucoin. You can buy a merch from HeiseSays, use Gold Pass from the Perth Mint, or support us via PayPal. Take care. Have a great day. I'll see you next time.